I want you to understand something about fear, man. Fear has gotten you where you are today, and it's keeping you where you are today. And what most people have yet to realize that the underlying says we're working on an online CPR class and I felt it. I feel it will be, man, you better tell them. You better tell them an online CPR class. That's how you monetize your intellectual capital. That is valuable information, knowing how to perform CPR, right? But you got to overcome fear if you're going to win. You got to overcome fear if you're going to win. And there's a lot of things that fear masquerade as, but you know what you're really, really, really afraid of? Most people don't know what they're really, 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 really afraid of. And it's so funny when you really get down to brass tacks and start to understand where fear really derives from. See, we are social creatures, meaning we have God designed us to be interdependent. That means living amongst each other, with each other. You depend on me for something, I depend on you for something. We're hardwired to be interdependent. That means I want to be around people. I'm not at peace unless I'm around people. Therefore, since I'm hardwired that way, I want to be accepted by people. And because I want to be accepted by people, people's opinion of me have a lot of influence on the decisions that I make. So whether you're scared to try because you think you're going to fail, you're not really afraid of failing because you failed before in your life. What you're really afraid of is what you think other people are going to think about you failing. Y'all can give me an amen if I'm on to something here. You are afraid to do something, not because the potential of failing. You failed before. But what's really holding you back, what you're really afraid of, is what you think other people are going to think about your failure. That's why you won't make a move. I had people when I walked away from my job, heck, it's almost 4 years in a few days. October 3rd, 2016, I walked away from my job to pursue entrepreneurship full time. And a lot of people, they didn't say it to me, but I heard the rumblings behind my back. What happens if you fail? If he doesn't make that business work, he walks away from a good job with benefits, decent pay, what's going to happen? Right? I want you to ask yourself this question. From now on, whenever that paralyzing fear comes up on you and it starts knocking at your door, here's how you overcome fear. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Somebody put that in the chat for me. This is such a game changer for you, right? Ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? See, when I left my job, I was approached with that same fear knocking at my door. What if you walk away from this job? Your family has no insurance. Now you gotta, if you don't go kill something every day, you don't eat. So how you gonna pay the mortgage or the rent? How you gonna pay the car note? What's gonna happen if you fail? So I asked myself that question. Cortez, if you strike out on entrepreneurship full time and you don't make it work, what's the worst thing that can happen? Guys, you know the worst thing that can happen if I fail as an entrepreneur? I end up right back in a cubicle. That's the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen if I go out here and I try to do this entrepreneurship thing and it does not work, the worst thing that can happen is I end up right back in the cubicle next to some of the people who were scared to try in the first place. It's the worst thing that can happen. Right? The worst thing that can happen if entrepreneurship does not work for me, maybe I lose my house, maybe I lose my car, you know, maybe I have to struggle financially for a little while. You know what's really holding most people back? The worst thing that can happen is people will laugh at your failure. That's the thing that you're running from. And I get it, because we're social creatures. We want to be accepted. And our society has told us that failing has nightmarish consequences. From the day that you were a first grader in school and you put the wrong answer on a piece of paper and you got that big red X on your paper, they trained you that failure was something to be ashamed of. They trained you that failure was something to be ashamed of. If Thomas Edison and Lattimore, those guys were ashamed of failing to invent the light bulb, we wouldn't have no lights right now. You think they looked at failure as something to be ashamed of? Y'all got to get this, man. Y'all got to get this. The world, the whole world, the entire world is counting on you to overcome your fear. And I need y'all to get this. The entire world is counting on you to overcome your fear, because you got a gift that God planted inside of you because he knew you before the foundation of the earth. And your gift is going to help to unlock the gifts of other people. So this world will never be the same when you overcome that fear and you start tapping into the resources that God planted inside of you to uncover the gift that he also planted inside of you. Is an acorn an oak tree seed, or is it an oak tree? That's a serious question. Is an acorn, is it an oak tree seed, or is it an oak tree? See, in order for the acorn to be less than an oak tree itself, that means it needs something else from outside to make it an oak tree. The oak tree is in the seed. It's everything that's required for the acorn to become an oak tree is actually in the acorn. So it's not an oak tree seed, it's a oak tree pre-development. It's not an oak tree seed, it's an oak tree waiting to be placed in the right circumstances, in the right situation. That's it. An acorn is an oak tree. It's not an oak tree seed. An apple seed is an apple tree. It's not an apple seed. There's a whole tree inside that little seed. And I'm telling you today that when you overcome your fear, there is a whole something already inside of you. It's not a part of something. It's not a piece of something that requires some external something to make it develop into something else. No, the whole, whatever God made you to be is already right there. You just haven't put yourself in the right circumstances and situations yet. You guys know what happens to a seed when it goes underground? The first thing that happens is that seed must rot and die. Because in the rotting and the death of the part of the seed that really holds the real life of the seed, when that rots and dies, it actually becomes the food and the nourishment for the seed to feed on, to create the seedling, to create the sprout, to create the little shoot. And that nourishment is so powerful that it could sustain that tree until the roots can actually get into the ground and start extracting from the earth, the minerals and the water and everything else to make it continue to grow and blossom into its full self. Some of you guys haven't placed yourself in the situations where the old you can rot and die and become the sustenance for the new you that needs to emerge in order for you to show the world the gifts that God has planted inside of you. Some of us are struggling financially because we are running away from the gifts and talents that God gave us to do something else. And I'm not one to bash anybody with a job. I'm just saying, is that job that you've chosen, is it in synergistic alignment with the things that you're already passionate about, so that it continues to unlock, continues to give you the permission and the place to fully express the things that you are gifted and passionate about in the first place?